Are we live? Are we live? Are we live? Are we live? Testing, testing, making sure that I'm live. Are we live? Are we live? Are we live? Are we live? Yep. Okay, we are live. Sweet. Are we live? Are we live? Are we live? Let me just make sure that everything's working properly now too, because there's now I have to make sure all the chat stuff is set up because I'm not sure anymore if those are ever set up right. Are we live? Is everything live? It's very slow to start up. Are we live? Not right now. What the frick? Okay. Chat. There we go. Nope, I don't think that's that's it. Is that good now? Nope, that didn't show up. Shoot. Does it? Huh. Oh, do I have to reconnect it again? Let's see here. Yep, I do. Darn it. Okay. Okay, now does that work? Am I live? Am I live? Is everything working? Let me know in chat, even though I can't see it yet. Am I live? Am I live? Am I live? Testing, testing. Test. Okay, did that work? Is that working? Yes, it did. Okay, sweet. Sweet, we are live then. All right. Oh man, I forgot how to start or to these streams now. It's been 2 weeks. I'm really bad at this. So, where was I? Where even was I with this? Oh yeah. So the last time we set off, I was. We had 7 drinks left. 7. This is 7 in sign language. You can count to 999 with just one hand. We have 7 drinks left. However, the let me just scroll to it. The Zen Star is not something I'm able to do with the tools I have right now. I tried to strain milk. I tried to do all the stuff that would do the really cool like milk clarification thing where you intentionally curdle the milk and then you separate out the curds in the whey, and then so that becomes clear, and then you have this really cool clear sake drink that's blue with the butterfly pea blossom powder and all that. I really, really wanted to make that work. I just can't, unfortunately. So, because I can't, unfortunately, we're just gonna have to skip that one. But we will make every other drink. We will finish off every other drink we have left in this book. In Karmotrine Dream. So, hopefully we can make it to the end. I actually, before this stream, I went out to eat. It's been a while since I had a steak, and I really felt like I needed to treat myself to something. So I went and got myself a steak and some additional drinks, but because of that I'm a little bit inebriated. I'm already a little bit pre-drunk, so that might be a little bit this might be a little bit difficult for me, but as I mentioned before, like I'm only taking a few sips of each of these drinks, so I shouldn't get too blitzed out of my mind. So let's just get started right away. So the first drink is going to be a pile driver, and I realized when prepping for this stream that a lot of these are gonna end up involving vodka, so it's gonna be carried a lot by the other flavors within the drinks. It's going to be like a lot of the juices, the like what do I call them? I don't want to say mixers. The enhancers, like bitters and whatnot. So it's gonna be relying on that. I'm not sure how good these are gonna turn out. They should turn out fine given that it's vodka, and all vodka does is add firepower. It doesn't really add flavor, it adds firepower. So these should be fine. Like for instance, this one, the pile driver, is vodka, triple sec, orange juice, and bitters. So vodka, orange juice. I don't have any particular brand loyalty to this. It was just the cheapest one I could get. Triple sec. And bitters. I assume whenever they mean bitters, I'm gonna go with Angostura bitters, because this is the usual bitters you use in damn near anything that requires bitters. If you're using this, you will almost never go wrong. In fact, adding this, you will almost never go wrong. Angostura bitters are amazing. So this is a weird drink, not necessarily because of the ingredients. The ingredients are not necessarily that weird. It's the amounts of each. Okay. Okay, so let's see. Hello, hashtag shorts. It's what's up, Chibity. Which one are you watching? Are you watching the vertical version, or are you watching the vertical version, or are you watching the horizontal version? How you doing, Chibity? We were just getting started on the first drink of the day. Yeah, I've actually been streaming to shorts, but I think I accidentally left them unlisted because I didn't want to like mess up anything. So I might have ended up having half of them unlisted, which doesn't help me at all. Oh, you ended up in the vertical? Yeah, I should have two streams going right now. The vertical will always end up in unlisted. I have it set to unlisted, but then the regular version will stay as a VOD, at least for now. I can swap them for it. Doesn't matter whichever one you think is more fun for you. Whichever one you like better, do that one. The point is to have options for people. Switch to welcome to the regular version. Alrighty. Let's do this. We're not doing this in the right order. I don't like that they put them in the wrong order, but... So first things first, the 1.5 ounces of vodka. You should normally try to do this cheapest to expensive. That way, if you mess up your pours, like when you have to dump it out, you're not dumping out as much money. 2 ounces of orange juice. How's your day going so far, Chibity? What am I doing? 1, 2. Half an ounce of triple sec. Wrong way. And finally, yeah, so these recipes are gonna end up real weird because as they call for big old chunks of bitters, they are asking for 4 dashes of bitters. I rarely see you wanting that many, but let's see if they're cooking. Alrighty. Have to add ice and strain. Just give me one moment. I was the savior of Clara's community because I was the person who recorded most of her unannounced Twitch debut. Oh, did she? I can't imagine she full on switched to Twitch, but she's like trying Twitch streams now. I know a lot of like even YouTube mains, they will often tend to switch to Twitch if they feel like they definitely will get demonetized for something. Like I know Lisa. Chikafuji Lisa and Miori Celesta are main YouTube, so like most of their streams are on YouTube, but then they will do the random Twitch stream for stuff like music reviews or like other stuff that will definitely get them demonetized. She forgot to turn VODs on. Oh, oh yeah. Was it not on by default? I forget. Add ice and shake. What kind of glass did they want this in? Oh, they want it in like a weird jar thing. So let me try to find a weird glass for this. That's what I forgot to do. I forgot to prep glasses, so that might be a little bit of a a thing that messes this up. But we will stick with these kind. We'll try this kind of glass. There's a funny story with these. These are actually for these are for the like. They came with this ice cream thing in it, and it was really good. It was like a smooth like chocolate mousse with ice cream type thing in it, and with a lid. And then so it's like it felt very temporary, except that these glasses, it was made out of glass, so you can reuse them. And then I actually get a lot of mileage out of these glasses for cocktails. It's kind of lit. Hello, T. How you doing today? Ooh, that is a bizarre color. That's just so unappealing. Oh, I don't like that color. That is not a very nice looking drink. Like, okay, the Angostura bitters definitely affected the color on this, and usually I love what Angostura bitters does to things, including the color. I guess adding it to orange just does not flatter this drink at all. This looks radioactive. This looks a little toxic. The thing is, with the ingredients, I can't imagine it's bad though. Yeah, it's definitely not bad at all. It's not good, but it's not bad. Yeah, and the thing is, like, it's not. There's nothing wrong with this drink at all. It's just not. It doesn't do the clever things that you would want out of any cocktail because the base spirit is vodka. Vodka doesn't add anything to this. If this was rum, if this was rum, if this was literally any other more interesting spirit, it might be nice. As I recall, one of the earlier drinks we had during this whole kerfuffle was like orange juice and whiskey, and it turns out that's really bad. But it turns out that's really bad, but yeah. Oh, T must be in the vertical. Oh yeah, yeah. T, are you watching the vertical right now or the horizontal? I'm streaming on both. I forget which one I linked, to be honest. I do have a Discord. I'm not sure if I should make it public yet, but I do have a Discord. That's it. And whichever one I linked, I must have linked the wrong one. I must have linked the vertical one because I meant to link the horizontal one. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with this drink, but there's nothing good about it either. It's literally just the ingredients. Okay, you taste the orange juice, you taste the triple sec, you taste the Angostura bitters. They do not blend in any way that's interesting. They just don't blend in any way that's like remotely interesting. It's just a glass of orange juice, triple sec, and bitters. That gets you a little bit drunker than those things normally would because there's vodka in it. Vodka. The joke is that vodka is spicy water, and that's actually, like, in a mixology sense, very true. Like, the only value it adds to a drink is upping its firepower in case you need to dilute the flavor without diluting the strength. Because I've seen drinks where you, like, intentionally dilute the pour with vodka because the flavor would be too strong otherwise. Like, you would do like 1 ounce Midori, 1 ounce vodka for a Midori cocktail because you don't want that, like, huge punch of Midori, but you still want the punch of a main spirit. And then so you would add vodka to, like, support that. Or in the case of going the other way, like, there's a Scotch cocktail that you put 1 ounce of Scotch and 1 ounce of vodka because the Scotch would be way too powerful, and then you don't want to add 2 ounces of that, but you want 2 ounces worth of firepower, so you put 1 ounce of your Scotch and then 1 ounce of vodka to dilute the taste of the Scotch without diluting the strength of the alcohol. Uh, let me go back a sec. I'm finally starting to feel better from the sickness I contracted. That's good. That's good. I'm glad you're feeling better. Also, I've been playing a lot of Sonova since it launched. Oh yeah, I think someone was telling me about that. So that's like the third-person shooter or something, right? That game looks really sick, honestly. Is it any good? What do you mean streaming on both? There's another one. Yeah. I have a vertical I have a vertical stream and I have a horizontal stream going. No, you linked the horizontal one. I just ended up in the vertical one because it's started slightly later, so it shows up if you have all notifications on. Okay, I see. Yeah, I did start the horizontal one first, and then I did start the horizontal, then the vertical one. There's a horizontal one. Yeah. Okay, so how would I rate this? Because, again, it's not bad. It's just not good either. Like, it's not like the other Ds where it's like... It wouldn't be like the other Ds in that it's bad, but it also... Oh, it's bad, but it has a point, as opposed to the Fs, which are just bad and unsavable. Oh, this is like meh with no potential. So it's like doomed to always be a C unless you change the base spirit. So where would I want to rate this then? I guess it just has to be a C, but it also just has no potential because it's a vodka cocktail. Like there's nothing wrong with this drink. There's just nothing good about it either. Yeah, you'd say it's fun. Definitely seems like it's a high skill ceiling with the main mechanic of the game. Okay. I can see myself getting into that. It really looks cool. And I heard that, like, don't you have all the characters? The gacha is completely cosmetic. Like, if that's true, like, I'd actually really like that. Been having a lot of fun with it personally. Nice. Yeah, I might try that. It actually looks interesting. Someone linked it. Someone linked it to me in another server, and it looks really fun. Alright. I'm gonna go aside just for a bit while I set up the next cocktail. You have to unlock the characters via tokens, but yeah, the gacha is entirely cosmetic. That's awesome. Yeah. I was actually getting into some fights in another server. Not really. Like it's all in good fun, but I was actually getting in fights with another server about like their gacha system, and it's like I just in general, gacha is a scam to begin with, but like I feel like there's ways to do their gacha that would be so much more beneficial to the game. But like when it's completely cosmetic only, I suddenly become pretty much okay with it. Doesn't that kind of look like lips? that that little water stain looks like lips. Also, I probably should have wiped it up. I'm lazy. It's also just water, so it's fine. Next drink. The Sparkle Star. Another vodka-based drink. So it's gonna want vodka, a simple syrup, lime juice, cranberry juice, grenadine, egg white, and then it says optionally edible luster dust. Given that it's optional, I'm not gonna do it. I have sort of a weird philosophy with my cocktails. I really do not want to add like things that are just for visual flair. It better add flavor to it in some way. That's why I'm okay with, say, Empress Gin, or at least the concept of Butterfly Pea Blossom, because it does add a floral note to it. That's why I'm okay with Blue Curacao, because while most of the time all it does for the drink is paint it blue, yeah, it's a nice orangey note, like a sugary orangey note that I think is not unpleasant. But I don't like adding food coloring to a drink. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna put edible luster dust in it. I'm not gonna do anything that is intentionally designed just for visual flair. It better also add something to the flavor profile, and so that's why I'm picky about like what I add to drinks. And so not only is it going to be my choice to include the edible luster dust, I'm like, on principle, I wouldn't have added it even if I had it. Each character costs 3,600 dream tokens. I won't claim to know how good that rate is. Also, there are some male characters in it, but you can choose to not unlock them, which is neat. I have a weird relationship with like males in gacha games. As a waifu collector, I wouldn't want them, but also like I'm not opposed to the idea of them being in the game or in the story. I personally just would not want to have my rules bricked by them. For a game that's a shooter though, like I highly doubt I would ever be upset about that, so that's not a problem for me. Anyways, so where were we? So we're back to vodka, so vodka. Simple syrup, which is over there. Half an ounce of lime juice, so because I don't measure my lime juice, just half a lime, I say, is a good enough approximation. Each lime contains almost 1 ounce of lime juice, so half a lime is close enough. Three ounces of cranberry juice. Half an ounce of grenadine. This is homemade grenadine, and I will tell you a quick story about my grenadine. It is this was a pain in the ass to make. All it is really is pomegranate juice and pomegranate juice and sugar, and that's what all syrups are. So like my simple syrup would be a 2 to 1 sugar to water. So roughly say like 2 cups of sugar to 1 cup water, heated until it boils, and then bottle it. Grenadine is the same way, except instead of water, use pomegranate juice. The issue is because I'm using juice can spoil. I I made a bunch of grenadine before, like a much bigger thing. Like imagine like I double the size of this bottle, and it went bad on me, and I had to waste a full bottle of grenadine, which also meant I wasted a whole bottle of like pomegranate juice. So I made another batch, a much smaller batch, just to test something. I made it 2.5 to 1. So 2.5 cups of sugar to 1 cup of liquid to 1 cup of pomegranate juice. And even that spoiled. Even that started to grow mold. So this is a 3 to 1 grenadine. 3 cups of sugar to 1 cup of 3 cups of sugar to 1 cup of pomegranate juice, and this finally is stable. This has been sitting on my desk unrefrigerated for several weeks now, like 3 weeks, and it hasn't spoiled. That's the key with these syrups. The whole point is that you don't need to refrigerate them. You don't have to dedicate fridge space to them. I don't want to waste fridge space on my syrups. That's the problem with smaller syrups, like quote unquote rich simple syrup is considered 2 to 1. I think that should be the normal because that's shelf stable. In fact, like in old-timey recipes, they made them 3 to 1. They made them 4 to 1. They made it as much sugar as they can possibly get to dissolve into their liquid, because this will never go bad. I can keep this for months and it won't go bad. Hopefully I can keep this for months. But I know my simple syrup, I've had that for over a year and that's never went bad. And so you don't I don't like the concept of like a 1-to-1 simple, a quote-unquote semi-rich 1.5 to 1 simple, because you have to keep those in the fridge to make them last longer, and they will eventually spoil. With a 2 to 1 simple, with a 3 to 1 grenadine, there's too much sugar that it becomes toxic to bacteria, and therefore you will with a 3 to 1, with a 2 to 1 to a 3 to 1 to however big you want that ratio to be, there would be too much sugar that it becomes toxic to any bacteria that can live in it. So it's sterile in that sense. They can't live in that sugar. They can't live in the syrup, and therefore it will stay shelf stable. You can keep it out unrefrigerated for as long as you want. And that's why I make it like that, and that's why I tell you this story, because like I was having such a hard time making my grenadine shelf stable until I started putting like a ton of sugar into it, 3 to 1. So this is going to be a particularly rich grenadine, but I honestly think it will help the flavor given that we are using vodka again. With that spiel over, the last ingredient is... where do you go? Oh god, where did it go? It rolled away. One sec. Okay, found it. 1 egg white. So we are not going to use the whole egg. Typically, you don't need the yolk for almost any cocktail that I've ever heard of, but you do often want the egg white. And I will explain that when we get to shaking. From the rates in the game, you get 300 dream tokens, and you get dream tokens in increments of 300. So that would be like per game or something. So if that'd be like 1200 per game or like per daily or something, that doesn't seem too bad. All right. So 1 egg white It's a start. And the reason I'm starting with the egg white is in case I mess up. If I mess up, then we can start this over. And all we wasted is one egg, as opposed to ruining the whole cocktail. Ah, shit. Oh, God. Oh, God. Why is this egg so crackly? Oh, Lord. Okay. Oh boy, we are definitely gonna get like a little bit of eggshell in this, but hopefully. Oh yeah. I punctured the yolk too, so hopefully I didn't get any yolk in there, but we got some egg white in there. Oh gosh. Oh Lord. Oh God, I'm ruining it even more. I'm just gonna stop. Alright, be right back while I dispose of this egg. Okay. So we got the egg whites. Let's go with the ½ ounce of grenadine. Yeah. Let's use this one. ½ ounce of grenadine. My grenadine is going to be so rich compared to what I think they probably use. But that'll probably be fine. Just means more flavor. And that will be necessary with the vodka. Oh yeah, we're gonna need the help of the other ingredients to help my pour. Come on. Okay, hopefully the other ingredients can get the rest of my pour in there. Like the 3 ounces of cranberry juice. Okay. 2. It's a little more than 3, but that should be fine. Once again, I'm not particularly fussed if I over pour some of these because again, we're using vodka. We need all the flavor we can get. ½ an ounce of lime juice. Always use fresh whenever you can. And then finally, 2 ounces of vodka. So, because we have a egg white in here, what that does is very cool actually. It's going to give it a thick froth, which like really adds a super silky texture to the drink. So it's gonna have like a nice silky texture, and it's gonna have a nice head of foam over the top of it. But what that means is, in order to get that foam going right, wrong one. In order to get that foam right, we have to dry shake this in order to like unravel the proteins. Like the egg white is like a big old mess of proteins, and we're basically unwrapping it to the point that it becomes that frothy foam. So we're gonna dry shake, and anytime you dry shake, you have to be very careful. The reason this stays closed, the reason your shaker stays closed when you're well shaking, is because of the cold. The cold is creating a vacuum that sucks the cups together, and that's what's causing these to stay together. Because there's no ice in this right now, it wants to come apart very easily. You have to be very careful while you're shaking this, while also shaking aggressively to get the proteins unraveled, like I said. So I'm gonna try to do 15 minutes of dry shaking without getting myself dirty, hopefully. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay. Now, you still need the chilling and dilution that comes from the ice. So we're now gonna shake with ice. Right. Okay. What is the right glass for this? They want another like tubular glass, like a Glencairn. I don't know if this will fit in a Glencairn though, is the thing. We'll see. Let me improvise. This is not quite as curvy as the one in the shot, but I think this will do. This will be a nice glass for this, and it will actually, fit it. Oh, it's so bubbly in there. This is awesome. This is gonna be a nice one. Oh, that is a strange color. That is not the color I expect. Actually, no, I should have expected it. It's got so much red stuff in it. See that foam forming on top and all the foam like coming out? Oh, this is a beautiful drink, actually. That is a beautiful drink. It's a shame that it's a vodka drink, to be honest. If this would be improved by gin, I'll let you know. It probably will, is the thing. Yeah, look at all that foam. And that's because we shook it so aggressively. We dry shook it so aggressively. We wouldn't be able to unravel it if it was cold. So that's why you have to dry shake it. And look at that. Look at that. That is a gorgeous drink, actually. It's a really nice, like, faded pink. and it's unreal. It's got like that frothy head that I think is pleasant. Dude, I forgot to add the simple syrup. It might need simple syrup. We'll see. But we did add grenadine. I actually don't know why they would add simple syrup if you added grenadine. Both of them are syrups already. You do not need that. You probably don't need the extra sugar, let alone the fact that my grenadine is so much stronger, so much more potent. But let's see. Yeah, it's weird, honestly, because it's like in the picture it looks more orange. So for whatever reason, I expected it to be orange, except for the fact that like we only put red ingredients in it. We put cranberry juice and grenadine in it. Why would it turn out orange unless that's just a lighting effect? It's beautiful nonetheless. I love the look of this drink. Let's see how it's tastes though. Can you hear me okay, by the way? Oh. Yeah. This will be improved by Jin. Yeah. Okay, this simple might help it out, but I don't think by a lot. And that's my fault this time. It's not them forgetting to add the simple, it's my fault. But also, like, I think more to the point, it would be more balanced with a spirit that actually fights back against the sweetness a little better. Because, like, once again, all I'm tasting really is cranberry juice and grenadine, and with like a hint of lime, because there's just not that much lime in here. There's too much juice. This needs to be one. It needs a different base spirit. Two, it needs to be rebalanced. One, it needs to be okay. One, it needs a different base spirit. Two, it needs to be rebalanced. There's a little too much cranberry juice. It kind of takes over. And then the vodka just doesn't do anything. Once again, all it does is makes this into a juice that gets you drunk. It turns into juice that takes you into juice that gets you drunk, as opposed to a cocktail, right? Because it's not a particularly complex layer of flavors. It's just like sweet, super sweet pomegranate with cranberry juice and a hint of lime, as opposed to like a melding of flavors, as I mentioned with the other ones. So a lot of cocktails that I put in the D category are like interesting drinks that are like badly balanced and badly formulated, but there is a good concept in there. This is a good concept that just needs gin, and like it's not bad at all. So I'm guessing this is another C, because it's like this is not bad in the slightest. You just have to use a real base spirit, not vodka, which is just spicy water. It really isn't bad though. I mean, like, it's hard to be bad when it's just a spiked fruit juice. And spiked fruit juice would probably be a C. Once again, give me just a moment to rinse out my shakers, and we'll get back to it. God. In some ways, I do wish I was back on Twitch just so that I can at least run ads at this point. Like, I would probably have a pretty insufferable stream in which like I would have like ads every 10 minutes, except at the very least they would only be like 30-second ads, 30-second ad breaks, as opposed to like the 10-minute ad breaks that's like the ones where it's like, oh, 7 ads in a row right when you start a stream is like so awful on Twitch, let alone everything else that's awful on Twitch right now. I'd have to relook how the rates work, but I know you can get them from leveling up and stuff. So was it like a competitive shooter? I heard that it's kind of like Overwatch or something like that. I'm not sure, but let me know while I rinse this out, and then once I'm back, I'll read your comment. It does also have a ranked mode. Yeah, okay. Okay. Well, so what kind of game is it then? Is it PvE? Is it PvP? Like what exactly is the thing about it? It sounds like it's a hero shooter nonetheless, but I'm unclear about what exactly its stated goal is. Boop. And boop. Okay. There we go. Next up, Sugar Rush. Sugar Rush. So it's considered girly, which based on the color, I guess I can see why, but let's see. Vodka, simple syrup, pomegranate juice, pineapple juice. That is... They weren't capping. It's a really simple drink, so... And I think I already have an idea of what I want for its glassware, but Yeah. Once again, we're going back to vodka. Vodka. Simple syrup. I'm not going to forget it this time. I'm going to actually pull it out. So this is my homemade simple syrup. It's 2-to-1. And I just put it in a wine bottle because reuse your bottles. Reuse your bottles. Don't just toss them out. You will find a use for them, I promise. Especially if you make as many cocktails as you can, you will want to make like infused spirits. You will want to make infusions and syrups that will make them very useful. Pomegranate juice. I had some pomegranate juice. So another funny story about the grenadine is that I wonder if part of the problem with my grenadine was that I was using expired pomegranate juice. Either my pomegranate juice was only just expired like yesterday at November 24th, or it expired last year on November 23rd. So I wonder if that's part of the problem with my grenadine, is that I made it with nearly expired or expired pomegranate juice. But I made sure to get fresh pomegranate juice for this stream because regardless of whether it was expired before or expired now, it's expired for sure now. Fresh pomegranate juice, or at the very least, freshly bought pomegranate juice. And finally, pineapple juice. Hey, bud. How you doing, NJ? We've made 2 drinks so far. Both of them were honestly kind of mid. They were fine. It's just that I don't really like vodka cocktails because I find vodka to be a very uninspired spirit. But it's been fun to try them. How are you doing? Let's try this the other way around with the smaller tin because I think it's better for the camera. So, okay, we dole this out at most at 1. So, yeah, I just checked. Stanova's Dream token output is 300 per level. Nice. Okay, I assume that's a good rate. I'm not sure. Is it grindy or is that a good rate? Been good streaming a lot of Final Fantasy 14 lately. Nice. A lot of people getting into Final Fantasy 14. I mean, there's the whole meme about it, right? Like there's the whole meme about like its ad read or whatever. But like unironically, people love that game. Like people will dedicate their entire streaming career to it or something like that. So I can see why you like that. You got it's a cool character in mind. I used to be in a community, actually. Let's go off on a tangent a little bit. I used to be in a community where they were so into Final Fantasy 14 that they created like a whole lore for their own character, and then like they would get like tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of commissions for them. Like an insane amount of commissions. They will spend like literally thousands upon thousands of dollars on just getting tons of commissions. They will spend thousands and thousands of dollars like getting tons of like they'll just as commissions, like this and that. That's even a VTuber avatar, so they can stream as themselves while they're Final Fantasy 14 player while playing them, and like comics and whatnot. And they would go crazy just creating their own lore for stuff. There are OCs that I did not realize were not actual Final Fantasy 14 characters, just because like you see them around all the time. You see their art around all the time, and so I was like, oh, I wonder when you meet that character. And it turns out you never will, because that's just someone's player character. And they just really love their character so much and love like the fashion aspect of it. They love the scenarios they come up with so much that they just commission so much art that you see around all the time. Oh yeah, I've been doing that alongside some friends of mine. We got a whole raid group going. Nice, nice. It really does seem like a lot of fun. It's hard for me to really immerse myself in an MMO because I know how much time that consumes, and I just don't have that kind of time to commit to it. But it's like back when I was into MMOs, like that sort of shit sounds like a lot of fun. Where was I? Oh yeah. So with the rule of cheapest to most expensive, we're gonna go half an ounce of pineapple juice. Half an ounce? Yeah, half an ounce of pomegranate juice. An ounce of simple syrup, and once again I won't go in the whole spiel again, but it's minus 2-to-1 simple syrup, and yours should be too. With that in mind, maybe this doesn't need to be a full 1 ounce, but I'm gonna follow the rules anyways. And if it needs less, I will just tell you. Anytime you add simple syrup to a cocktail, it's for balance. It's like adding salt to a recipe. Like, it's like adding salt to a dish. Like, it's there for balance. Like, oh, sometimes you just need salt to bring out the flavors. Sometimes you need simple syrup to bring out the flavors. But if you add too much, then it's too much. Like, the simple syrup is the most flexible ingredient. So if I find this to be too sweet, that's a me problem. I would just have to make it with less simple, especially because mine is 2-to-1. And finally, an ounce and a half of vodka. Crafting your own story for your WOL means Warrior of Light, right? Crafting your own story for your Warrior of Light is half the fun, to me at least. So, yeah, the crazy scenarios that people invent for their own character is wonderful. I love it. One of the pre-registered rewards for Sonova is a legendary skin, which they just gave you, which is real neat. Oh yeah, Girls Frontline 2 is doing that too. They have a whole pre-reg thing going, and as long as enough people pre-register, everyone's gonna get the awards. 2-to-1 simple is way better. I forget who says, but someone said the goal of simple syrup is to make pourable sugar, not sweet water. Yeah, that's what. That's the best way of putting it, because as we used to use sugar cubes, and the thing is, sugar cubes don't dissolve in ice, and then so like by pre-dissolving it into water, then that makes it pourable, that makes it more useful. But then it's like you use simple syrup because you need the sugar, but you're diluting it with the water, so you want to dilute it as little as possible by making it as thick as possible. Like, there's no reason for it to be 1-to-1. There's no reason for it to be 1.5-to-1. And what 2-to-1 is like the minimum that people tend to make it with. That's like in a lot of classic bartenders guides. But like back in the day, they used to put like way more, 3-to-1, 4-to-1, as much sugar as possibly fits, because it would be shelf stable. Like that's the whole point. It's that they didn't have refrigeration back then. It had to be shelf stable, and so like how the hell were they keeping all of their sugar intact? if it kept going bad because it was 1-to-1, it's probably because they weren't. They were using better sugar. They were using more sugar to make better syrup. Alright, let me just grab ice and we can shake it up. This time I'm ready with the glassware. Give it a nice good shake. Ah! I couldn't get it loose for a second. And strain into a lovely little glass. That's quite pretty. I mean, it's to be expected. Pomegranate juice does that, but I didn't think it would be that color. But that is quite a pretty color, actually. I imagine this can't be a complicated cocktail. It's just not. It just doesn't have that many ingredients in it. Including the fact that it has vodka instead of any other base spirit. But that is nice. That is lovely. I look, for everything I said about like things that only add visual effect, it doesn't mean I don't like the visual effects. It's just that I want the visual effects to serve a purpose flavor-wise too. And this is beautiful. This is genuinely a beautiful drink. And once again, it's just disappointing about how bland it is, just because all it is pomegranate juice and pineapple juice. Like that's the only flavors. It's just imagine just, if you will, like ignore the vodka, like this, if this was just a bottle of clear water that you took pineapple juice, you took pomegranate juice, you stirred them together, and then you diluted it with water. That's what this tastes like. That's literally all this tastes like, because that's what vodka does to drinks. All it does, as I keep saying, all it adds is firepower. I can feel myself getting drunker as I drink all these things, but it's like as far as I'm aware, all I've been drinking is juice, because that's all these taste like. Yeah, I mean, like, there's nothing wrong with it. Like, I do enjoy the drinking juice. Juice is delicious, but it's also just like, there's so mixology is awesome because you can create these flavor blends that just are so complicated. As I mentioned with some of the earlier ones, you feel like you're walking through the flavors as like this aspect and that aspect and this aspect, and they blend together. They're like walking in tandem, or they're like you're walking on a bed of this, and it's like they're blending together in a way that feels very meaningful and fun. Whereas all these vodka cocktails just taste like fruit juice, mixed fruit juice, that gets you drunk. And that's all they are. And it's honestly, it's not that it tastes bad, because fruit juice, just a mix of fruit juices, will never taste bad. It's quite delightful, in fact. It's just not elevated in any possible way. Like if this was rum, this would be such a great drink. Just like a very nice mid-tier, like $20 or $25 rum. Just mix a little bit of that in there, and it will be an amazing cocktail, because you get all the complexities of the rum, which would then intermingle with the fruit juices in specific ways, and like mesh together in ways that are very interesting. All you did was dilute this with water that makes you a little wiggly. I'm gonna continue sipping it because it's pleasant. It's just not an interesting cocktail, which again puts it probably in the C tier. From I kind of want to demote these to D now, just because they're so not interesting. Like the orange juice one, like I said, it was like it tasted fine, but there was no potential, and I think I stand by that. Yeah, and then let's see. Let me look back at Sparkle Star. Oh yeah, the Sparkle Star I said would have been better with gin, so that actually has some elevation. We'll keep Sparkle Star at C. I'm gonna put this at D tier just because it has no potential. It tastes fine, it just has no potential. And then so that would put this one, the Sugar Rush, in D. No, it has potential, because if you use rum instead of vodka, it would become a very elevated drink. It could honestly be A tier. Like that's how like this combination of fruit juices could become a really interesting drink. But because all it is a combination of fruit juices diluted by vodka, I just can't give it a higher grade. Yeah, I think I'm settling on that. I'm gonna settle on that, because like the first two are, the one with the orange juice just can't be elevated. I don't think the Sparkling Star could definitely be elevated by gin, and then this current one, what was it called? Sugar Rush. Yeah, Sugar Rush can be elevated by rum. So it's just the wrong spirit, and in general, vodka is going to be the wrong spirit. Is that all I wanted to say? Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Let me get prepared for the next one. Now we're getting to the weird ones. Not that this whole book hasn't been weird. This whole book has been very weird, and not gonna lie, if I'm being fully honest, in a weird sort of way, I'm regretting it. I was very interested in this book, mostly because I know that Valhalla is like the whole thing is about like cyberpunk bartending. Like you're this dystopian future, and they have to make weird drinks, with what they have as a bartender. And I guess part of the point is that because of the limited resources, they do have to improvise and make some weird drinks. It is a little disappointing as someone who's really into mixology, someone really obsessed with mixology, just that these drinks are in general somewhere between half-baked or disappointing. But I mean, it's cool to figure it out. It's been cool to like work with. It's just a little weird to me. And I don't want to slander the people who made these recipes too much. Like, I know they worked hard on this book. I helped out make a recipe book for another type of indie game, and it's like it's hard to come up with unique recipes. It's hard to it's hard to do that, and I don't want to rain on their parade because mixology is fun, but also it's sort of like with the experience I have with mixology, it's just a little bit hard for me to enjoy some of these drinks knowing how I could make them better, which honestly could be an idea of itself. Like, the ones that I think have potential, like what if I improved on some of them? But also that feels like those people who fix art on Twitter, quote unquote fix, like I would feel like such an asshole if I actually did that. So it's like I don't know, because like, for instance, Bad Touch and Piano Woman in this cocktail book are legit like great drinks. They are unironically great drinks. I made myself a Piano Woman with my own spec the other day. Piano Woman is actually such a great drink. Like, I unironically love that drink. It's like, other ones are like, there are like a handful of other ones where it's like, oh, these are pretty good drinks, they're just not for me. And then just so many of these are either like, okay, you really need to add simple here, you really need to add simple here, you need to try something other than vodka, you need to this one just sucks. Like, there's two that I had that just suck, and it's like, and it's okay, I've made drinks that suck too when I've experimented. So it's like, I'm not gonna dog them for that, because I experiment with drinks all the time. I'll put random shit together just because it sounds fun. It's just, honestly, like, some of these don't work. So that's why I'm a little bit like, oh god, these drinks aren't as good as I expected them to be. And like, somewhat dreading this third or chunk of it, because I was just like, man, I love the concept that these guys came up with. I just didn't end up enjoying the drinks as much as I thought I would. With that, we get to the next one, which honestly, again, like, for everything I'm saying, like, I appreciate that they experiment so much. These are unlike any other drinks I've ever had, for better or for worse. And that's a good thing, just because, like, at least they're trying to make unique drinks, and that's really cool, because like we need more variety, and so it's nice to be able to try all these drinks. I just didn't end up liking a lot of them. Sunshine Cloud. So more vodka, but this time we're going creme de cacao, bourbon, bitters, and whole milk. The bourbon is the one that feels out of place here. Creme de cacao with vodka, that actually doesn't sound too bad for me. Like, okay, in this case, this is a good use of vodka. This might be a good use of vodka because the main flavorings are gonna be like sweet liqueurs that don't have much firepower. So you actually want the firepower from the vodka. And then to like enhance the rest of it. The bourbon is what's weird. What we're basically making is chocolate milk, essentially alcoholic chocolate milk, except that I'm not sure how the bitters will help. That being said, bitters always helps. And I'm not sure how the bourbon helps at all. So let's see. Vodka. Bourbon. I'm gonna go with Four Roses bourbon. Creme de cacao. Angostura bitters. And this isn't going to fit on the splash, but it's whole milk. In fact, there's multiple recipes with whole milk in this too, so that's another weird aspect of this. There's like stretches of like, okay, you forgot the simple. Now you're making everything with the vodka. Now you're making everything with hella bitters, which we'll get to in a second. Now you're making everything. And now there's like 3 recipes in a row that had whole milk that are interesting, but like I'm unclear. Do you shake milk? I'm just realizing that it's asking me to shake, but do you shake milk? These are all spirits. Like, you don't need to do that. I'm gonna do something I'm gonna go a little off script here. I'm gonna say that you stir this, not shake it. I'm pretty sure that we're supposed to stir this. Yeah, I'm taking the executive decision and I'm going to stir this, not shake it. So let me get a measuring cup for this. Not that we're actually using the measuring cup, it's just that it pours. Okay, let's do this. Let's see, so where are the pours? 1.5, 1, 1, 3 dashes, 2. 2.5. Okay. We can work with that. Let's see. How do we wanna do this? Okay. I'm gonna say okay, so 1 ounce of our creme de cacao. I'm optimistic about this one. Should I be optimistic? I'm not sure, but I'm optimistic about this one. 1 ounce of bourbon, 1.5 ounces of vodka, that's 1. That's 1.5. Three dashes of bitters. Going heavy on the bitters here. As always, a dash is just like one of these. Like, you just kind of just bump it like, Each one of those is a dash. And then finally, 2.5 ounces of milk. Whole milk, to be exact. I understand why it had to be whole milk for the milk clarification thing, because you need all the fats. I'm not entirely sure why you need whole milk for any of the other recipes that call for it. Once again, that is not this is not a particularly appealing mixture right now. But we're not done yet. So let me grab some crushed ice. Even the smell is hilarious. It's like, it's not unpleasant is the thing. It smells like chocolate and bourbon, which is very bizarre, but it's not bad. I'm optimistic about this, but I'm also just like, this is a bizarre thing. So whenever a drink is all spirits, you stir it instead of shaking it. Shaking adds aeration, which means air bubbles, and then so like that makes your drink cloudy, and that's not a problem anyways if you're putting fruit juices, because they're not clear. They are cloudy too because of all the pulp and the other stuff that's inside of the fruit juice. So it's okay for that. Whereas like with things that are all spirits, like, you would like to preserve the clarity of it because it looks better in your cocktail. You can certainly shake it if you want to. Like a martini is all spirits, but you've heard the famous James Bond thing. Martini, shaken, not stirred. If the customer wants it like that, if the customer wants it like that, the customer will have it like that. Don't argue with them. They know what they want, and to be frank, they'll taste the same. But you would prefer to stir your martini, not shake it, because it would taste better. I just contradicted myself. You would want to stir your martini instead of shaking it, because it would look better. Apparently, you just open pour this. This is not the color at all. Okay, I'm gonna strain the rest. It's a little too much ice. They had a double rocks glass, so I'm a little bit at a disadvantage here. That just straight looks like milk. Ooh, perfect wash line. That just straight looks like milk. How is it orange? How is it orange? Maybe shaking it will preserve the color of the bourbon more, but why is it not orange? Why is it just white like milk? Whatever. What the fuck was this even called? Sunshine Cloud. Sunshine Cloud. That's not bad. I can't decide if I like it or not, but it's absolutely not a bad drink. I know there's a drink called Mother's Milk where it's like either milk or heavy cream and like a bunch of other spirits in it. And so like the concept of milk in your cocktail is not that weird. It's honestly quite good, in fact. I think I'm settling on it being good. It's just not very well balanced once again. Like instead of an ounce and a half of vodka, why not just put more bourbon? Yeah. It's weird because it's like you get a little bit of the bourbon. You get a little bit of that like bourbon walk of like, especially with that bourbon, like the apples and the spices, and then that mixes with the chocolate. So the spiciness of the like baking spices from particularly Four Roses mixes so well with the creme de cacao. This is why I've been looking for with those other drinks. It's like a nice mix. And then so you get like the side-by-side tandem of like the chocolatiness of the creme de cacao with the baking spices, the cinnamon, the nutmeg of like the Four Roses. And it's nice, but it's super muted by the vodka when like you could have just added more bourbon. So like you just replace the ounce and a half of vodka with just 1 more ounce of bourbon, a full pour of bourbon, and I think this is actually a really nice drink. Yeah, because I'm trying to decide if it's too diluted by the milk. The bitters come in too, and the bitters really nicely settle in with the creme de cacao too. Like they walk in tandem too, in addition to walking in tandem. So you have like the bitters like weaving its way in there with its like bitter and gentian and like, I don't know how else to say this, but dirty flavor, and like that already goes well with bourbon. The bourbon goes well with the chocolate, which then goes back well with the that then goes all the way back around to be good with bitters. And then the milk obviously goes with the chocolate, which also goes with the whiskey, which means that it's not out of place with the bitters. And so I can't decide if this is diluted too much with too much milk, or if it's diluted too much with too much vodka. And I'm thinking that if you put a full pour of bourbon in this, that fights back against the milk bearer. I just don't know how much. Like, it probably still gets diluted too much by the milk, but then you just have to add less milk. I do remember, actually. So, like, with various cocktails I've tried that have milk or heavy cream, you only put like 1 ounce because it's a pretty powerful flavor. Milk tends to like wash away a lot of the flavor. And then so if you add, like, if it was only 1 ounce of milk and if it was 2 ounces of bourbon, I think this would be actually a really nice drink. So it's a not well balanced version of a good drink, and I think that earns it a B. Yeah, I think this is a B. This is quite interesting, and it could have been good. Like, as it stands now, it's a C plus. I'm willing to curve it to a B because I know that it can be an A, if that makes any sense. Yeah, I'm into that. It's a, it's oh man, it's almost a good drink is how I feel about it. Which feels sad to say, but that's like exactly how I feel about it. It's almost a good drink. It's not quite a good drink, but it's almost a good drink, and I know it has its potential. I really need to clean my bar area for the next one, so you'll have to give me a little bit more of a break on this one. I'll be back in like a couple minutes. I'm gonna have to get a new bar mat at some point. I think this one's reaching the end. I can't really clean it all the way properly. Hopefully at some point I can just get... Yeah, I'm probably just gonna buy a fresh bar mat and then deal with it. Oh, this one's crazy. Okay, the next one is the suplex. Crazy orange drink. Ah, wrong way. There we go. Oh my god, it's lagging, ain't it? Okay. And it's crazy because it's vodka, Aperol, orange juice, and bitters. Now, that's not super outlandish on the face of it until we get into the measurements, which... Oh boy. We're in for it, so... One sec. So we're back to vodka. Oops. Boy, it's laggy. Can you stop being laggy for a sec? Okay. Vodka. Aperol. And the thing is, they describe this as a very... They only found out about Aperol, the person who designed this drink. And they were like complimenting it for being so bitter. If that's the case, I would wonder about a version with Campari. We're not going to do that. We're just going to follow the recipe strictly. But Campari is basically a much, much more bitter Aperol. And so I wonder, once we get finished with this, I'm going to think about what a Campari version might be like, given the goal of this particular drink, which again, we'll get to. Orange juice again. Angostura bitters again. Now, what's gonna make this drink so crazy is once again the pours. So let's go cheapest to expensive again. Orange juice. Two ounces of orange juice. Now normally, you would put about 2, maybe 3 dashes of Angostura bitters in a drink. This is a very potent flavor, which is why you only ever need to put like a few dashes in. This whole bottle is only 4 ounces worth of bitters, but you dole it out in such small proportions that this bottle could last you for months. This recipe though calls for 8 dashes of bitters. They really, really want to turbocharge the bitters. And I love the taste of Angostura bitters. And that's actually why I'm optimistic about this drink, because I love the taste of Angostura bitters. But it will be an intense flavor. I guarantee you, if someone else was making this drink, they would not find it particularly pleasant. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Honestly, at that point, why not just screw off the top and then pour a whole ounce of bitters in there? There are some drinks that do that. They're crazy drinks. They're also crazy delicious if you can get past how bitter they are. half an ounce of Aperol, which they praise for being bitter, but if the point is to be as bitter as possible, we will see if this would actually benefit more from Campari. Half an ounce of Aperol. And an ounce and a half of vodka. Gonna shake this with ice, so be right back. And then the picture on in the booklet looks like a rocks glass. Oh, it seems to want a rock of ice, so I have good rocks of ice, so let me grab one of those. A homemade, perfectly clear rock of ice. It's not clear right now because there's a little bit of freezer dust on it, but once we pour it over, it's gonna become crystal clear. Just wash it off. And look at that wash line, perfect. It's a gorgeous color too, actually. The Aperol and the bitters giving it that deep, like blood red. I'm very into that. Look at that. Look at that. That is a very pretty color to me. It's coming up a lot orangey on the stream, actually. Like I'm looking at my stream through the laptop. It's a little more blood orange in my point of view. So here is from Nano-chan, there's a bunch of different people who made these, and Nano-chan. This drink is pretty much the same as this drink is pretty much the same as the Pile Driver, except the biggest difference here is even more bitter than before. I used 8 dashes of bitter and this crazy bitter ingredient called Aperol to push it as far as I could stand. So I'm expecting something bitter, like life bitter. Let's see how this goes. That's not as bitter as it could be, and because I'm sure she doesn't know how to pop the cap of one of these. I actually don't either, but like if you're gonna go that far with Angostura bitters, just pop the cap somehow. I don't know how you pop the cap, but at the very least I know that there are drinks that want a full ounce of pour of bitters. Do that. If you're going all in on Angostura bitter flavor, do that. Like the issue with the balance is not necessarily. I know what their goal is. So like this drink is not for everyone. I like this drink, but the issue now is that instead of toning down the bitter to make it more accessible, it needs to turn up the bitter. That you do that two ways. You do it by adding even more Angostura bitters, which sounds crazy given that you already added 8. And use Campari instead of Aperol. Campari is even more bitter. But it has much more intense flavor too. Like there's a little bit of sweetness to Aperol that one makes it more accessible for sure, but then two, like sometimes you want that for better balance. The orange juice is going to provide that balance. You don't need the sweetness from the Aperol. If you're going all in on bitter, use the Campari. So I genuinely think this drink already would be better with Campari. That being said, this is a good drink. I'm trying to decide whether it's a B or an A, and I'm leaning A. Like this is an imperfect version of a drink that's actively good. It also, as is always the case, does not need the vodka at all. If you're going all in on bitter, the other aspect of adding more bitterness to it is not diluting it with vodka. So this is actually like, honestly, because I love Angostura bitter so much, and then just adding like a shitload of it. Honestly, this is really good. I just I put Angostura bitters in almost everything, and adding a lot of it to me can't be a bad thing most of the time. Sometimes they fuck me up, but most of the time it just is great. It's just how do I heart? There we go. All right, heart. This is I want to give it an A, but it's just like the fact that it's diluted with vodka is just man, you scored an 89 on the test, but I know you're better than this. No, I'm gonna give you an A. This is I really like this drink. I genuinely really like this drink. I would just change, like I would tweak major aspects of it, but like ultimately irrelevant aspects in terms of flavor. And so like the only thing this needs is a balance shift, and as it is right now, it's already a good drink. A little behind the scenes, I finish the drinks I really like, so I get really, really drunk after these streams are over. A minus. Welcome back, Shibadi. Yeah. This drink is just like, it's so close. Like it scored an 89, an 88, or an 89, but I know that the student is capable of getting an A minus on this exam, so it's like I'm like very on principle I'm hesitant to give it to them, but also like this is a very fine drink. And like I said, after streams I do finish the drinks I like and end up dumping the rest. I first take a picture of all the drinks, And then I finish the drinks I like. I dump out the rest. I clean the dishes. And then I end up getting like really, really drunk because I'm polishing off so much alcohol. Thankfully, it's not all of it because I don't end up enjoying most of these drinks. But like this one for sure is gonna get finished later on. This is good. I almost don't wanna move on to the next one, but I kind of have to. Man, this one's good. Let's award Nano with her A. And then I will try this drink later with Campari and with no vodka. Oh shit. Oh god. Okay. Oh wait, I'm an idiot. I was on OBS, not the actual website. There we go. There we go. The suplex. Honestly, it got me. I'm down for the count with this one. This one's so good. I spent so long complaining about how much I didn't enjoy a lot of these drinks. Even like they're fine. They're not bad, but they're not actively that good. And then I end up having the suplex right now, and this one is turning out to just be an actual banger. Thank you for redeeming yourself with that one. Unfortunately, I don't know what you can do with mixes that don't work out. They'd probably kill a houseplant. I mean, I assume the sink can handle it. I assume the sink is fine for this. Yeah, after all, they're just like liquids. After all, they're mostly water still. Like almost every spirit is cut with water, so it's fine. But with that, we're finally on the last one. Thank you so much for sticking with me. It's been 3 weeks, not 4 weeks. No, even longer than that, over a month, because we did the first 2 streams, and then we did the Nikkei me yapping about Nikkei for hella long instead of continuing with this. I took a break the other week just because I was legit exhausted. I had to do so much stuff IRL. And then now we're finally back to this. So 3 weeks worth of streaming. And then 5 weeks, and it took 5 weeks to finish all this. Thank you. Thank you so much for everyone who stopped by, for everyone who ends up watching this later on when I edit this into a YouTube video. If somehow you're a VOD watcher, there are apparently people who watch my VODs. Thank you so much for just watching it so far. And I'm saying all this because we are at the last one. So to get back to the tier list, I unfortunately will not be able to make the Zen Star. That would be this one over here. That would be this one over here. I just cannot make the Zen Star, which was the one I was most excited about, to be quite frank. How do I fix this? There we go. So the Zen Star is going to be this one. Really cool drink, right? It's even cooler when you look at the ingredients. So 3 ounces of sake. I'll let you know right now, sake is one of my favorite. Not one of my favorite. Is my favorite beverage of all time. That includes non-alcoholic things. So just my favorite thing to drink of any kind, which includes stuff like soda and other non-alcoholic drinks, is sake. Sake is just so delicious to me that it's my favorite. So sake, green tea, simple syrup, lemon juice, whole milk, and butterfly pea powder. You'll notice though that despite having milk in it, that's a clear drink. You clarify the milk because when you put lemon juice into whole milk, it's gonna curdle, and then it's gonna the wheys and the curds and whey are gonna separate, and then so you drain out the curds, which I believe are the solids. I think the whey is the liquid, the curds are the solids, and then so you strain that off, and then you set that aside, and now you have clear milk, and then so you use your mixture is now the whey is the clear whey and all the other ingredients we put into it, and then they stir in butterfly pea powder to make it into that beautiful blue color. That's the same blue color that Empress Gin has, and it has a point. It's not just food coloring, it's a flavor. It's a floral flavor. It's really nice. It's ground up flowers. It sounds amazing. It sounds delicious. I cannot get this to work. I've been trying to make this work. I cannot get this to work. So unfortunately, we will be skipping the Zen Star. I have clickbaited you a little bit. We haven't made literally all of them. We made all but one of them. We won't be able to make the Zen Star, and that's tragic because I really wanted to make this. But that leads us to the last one. The Flaming Moai, which you can't actually see in it because it's in a tiki mug, but I really wish I had a tiki mug. We will probably just make it in a mule or a mule mug just because I put all my tiki drinks in mule mugs. They're still cool. I really like it. Like these. But this will be our final drink. And I won't just say I'm glad it's over. This was a really fun experience, but there's also other things I've been wanting to try. And so it's nice to be able to actually be able to close the book on this one and be able to start something anew. But still, I really, trust me, this was still awesome to make, and we get to finish it on something that, once again, I have high hopes for. This is a really cool one. dark rum, velvet falernum, Aperol, lime juice, ginger ale, and club soda. I will say right now, I'm not sure why club soda is on this list, but we will follow the rules. So, let's get to the ingredients. Dark rum. And I know I said this in the previous stream. I'll say it again. The monikers of like light rum, white rum, dark rum do not matter. The color of the rum does not matter. It's the way it's made. Was it coffee distilled? Was it pot distilled? Yeah. Was it coffee distilled? Was it pot distilled? How did they do that? Where does it come from? Like the different regions matters a lot. It's made from sugar cane, except sugar cane's made everywhere. So like the specific nature of how it's made affects the flavor a lot, and the way it's colored generally has to do with age, but also sometimes they clarify aged rums. So it would be a clear white rum, but it's aged, or it might be a dark rum that's not aged at all, but they add a little bit of I want to say this in a way that's like not unflattering, because it is an artificial coloring in a sense, except that it's still good, if you know what I mean. Like there's a way to artificially induce like the flavor that is associated with aged rums, even in a new rum, but that doesn't mean it's bad. Like there are plenty of rums that do that are good products. And so the concept of a dark rum doesn't really matter. Just use a good rum that has color in it, basically. That being said, in order to satisfy that, I did make sure to use a rum that does specify that it's dark. So Plenary dark rum. The actual name dark rum doesn't matter, but I'm going to use a dark rum just to satisfy the requirements. Velvet falernum, a tiki staple. I'll be honest, I don't actually make a lot of stuff with velvet falernum, but that's because I haven't really deep dived into tiki drinks yet, and I know a lot of tiki drinks use this, and I've tried a little bit. It's delicious. So that's how I know they've come up with a pretty good idea for this, given that they're using this. Our good friend Aperol. In this case, I would say that the Aperol is warranted instead of Campari. You generally want your tiki drinks to be sweet and approachable and pleasant. Half an ounce of lime juice. Once again, we're just going to use half a lime because close enough. Ginger beer. It calls for ginger ale, however, as we discovered in an earlier drink, ginger ale just does not have enough ginger flavor for it to work. So anytime it says ginger ale in the book, I'm gonna use ginger beer because this is a much more intense ginger flavor. Also, I must emphasize, do not shake with anything that's carbonated. And then finally, club soda. I have a soda stream, so I just carbonated water myself. I've been listening, but I'm out of my depth for drink talk here. It's interesting though. Yeah. Honestly, like part of what I want to do in the future is actually have like legit like tutorials. Like actually have like, how to make good drinks using the last word formula, how to make good drinks with the old-fashioned formula, why you should always make old-fashions, why you should never use 2-to-1 simple syrup, rather, why you should never use 1-to-1 simple syrup and only make 2-to-1 simple syrup. Like I want to make all of these kinds of videos for people so that it's more approachable for people. Mixology is actually quite easy. it's just that like there's a lot of conflicting information about there's one a lot of conflicting information about there, and then two, there's like it's I can see why it's intimidating to people to like, okay, you have all these different bottles, and it can be intimidating to want to actually give it a shot, when really, like, if you realize that it's honestly there might be legit only like 4 different kinds of drinks, and then every single version of that drink like branches out into like 8 more, and then those 8 those 4 times 8 is 32. Those 32 drinks branch out. Oh, it's like 8 ways themselves, and then just keep branching out and branching out. Like, you realize that like the basic formula is almost always the same, and then that's from there you would learn how to make good drinks like right away. And so that's sort of the thing I want to do at some point, is like be someone like you, Chibadi, who might not know much about mixology, and suddenly turn you into not necessarily an expert, but like you would know your shit when it comes to alcohol. And it's cool because it's like there's this whole concept that's like, oh, people who like alcohol, they just want an excuse to get drunk. They want there's no difference between these things. They just want to do it. And it's like, I can tell you for a fact that like the quality of your rum matters. The quality of there is a very strong difference between Aperol and Campari, stuff like that. And like, I would like to inform people, because I'm relatively new too. I only started doing this like 3 years ago, and like I have tons to learn too. I'm still basically a beginner compared to people who've been behind the stick for like 20 years. But also, like, I want to show people that it's not nearly as intimidating as it thought. So you don't need to be like a complex, like, I can detect the subtle notes of this and that in this wine. Like all these minute details, like, they're not something that you need tons of training for. You just need to have 3 or 4 old fashions, and you're like, oh wow, okay, this whiskey is actually really good because of this, that, and this. And it's like you don't need to hone that skill super hard. You just need to focus on specific one thing at a time, and then you learn it quite quickly. Like, okay, make an old fashioned, find the peanut note, find the apple note, find the cinnamon note, and then you taste it, and you look for that in your head as you're tasting it, and you're like, oh, there it is. It's like 3 seconds after I drink it, it's there. Yeah. And then when you realize how to note things, you realize it's just like, okay, it's like it's the sort of thing, like, have you ever noticed that like you meet like crowd of people, you don't remember a single person, there's hundreds of people in a crowd, like maybe you're at school and there's just like hundreds of people in the crowd, you just don't recognize any of the faces because, you know, none of them are your friends or anything. You make a friend, you talk to them, you're close with them at school, and suddenly you can pick them out in the crowd no matter where they are. Like, oh, there's Jason, there's Johnny, there's Rebecca, stuff like that. And it's like that's how it feels to learn how to note a good whiskey. It's like, okay, the prominent notes for like Four Roses, I would say, is like, for Angel's Envy is like a sweet, it's grapey jam, peanuts, and like spice, and like some kind of baking spice. And then you just like, obviously it's deeper than that, but if you look for those 3 main things, then you can start to pick. You just have to look for one at a time, and once you find it, you will always notice it. It's the same way like you can always notice your friend in the crowd. And then then you pick up the peanut note, and it's like, okay, now you always notice it whenever you drink this. Okay, now you pick out the jelly note, and then you always notice it. And then so whenever you drink it, you can taste every individual aspect. You can start taking that walk, as I always talk about. And it's just not as intimidating as it looks. It doesn't require tons of practice. It just requires being able to focus in on one thing at a time. Let alone the fact that, like, even without any of that knowledge, you would know it tastes good. Like, if I made you an old fashioned with 4 roses, I can note it. You might not be able to, but I can guarantee you would find it good. As opposed to, like, oh, it's just fire and burning. All it does is get you drunk. It's not like it matters. And it's like, no, I bet you change your tune if you actually tried it. Clara talks about liking spicy ginger ale, and I'm not actually sure what it is, if it's like a Japanese thing. I would say, like, ginger beer is basically spicy ginger ale, just because it's, I think by definition of what like soft drinks are, ginger beer and ginger ale are technically the same thing. It's just that we understand ginger beer to be, well, we understand ginger ale to be like a sweet soda like substance that tastes vaguely like ginger, whereas like it's a soda pop that's ginger flavored, whereas ginger beer is a very intensely ginger flavored soda that is like very in your face ginger flavored. And so if that's what she means by spicy ginger ale, she might mean ginger beer, or from the way I know VTubers talk about alcohol, she might mean ginger ale spiked with like vodka or something. All right. Enough of this. Let's get into it. Okay. Sorry. Is ginger beer alcoholic, or is it like root beer? It's like root beer. It's not alcoholic. I can even show you the flavors. Is that readable at all? Yeah. Carbonated water, sugar, ginger root, natural ginger flavoring with the other natural flavorings, tartaric acid, ascorbic acid. No alcohol in this at all. It's just ginger and things that turn into soda. So it's like root beer in that sense, yeah. Root beer is just root, spicy roots mixed with stuff that turns into soda. Let's get into it. I'm noticing the recipe does not call for simple syrup. It might need it, but we'll see. It's juice or lime, half an ounce of lime. Quarter ounce of Aperol. They really do not want to add any bitterness to this. It's kind of hard because there's no 25 on this, but just like a tiny splash of Aperol. Half an ounce of velvet falernum. And only 1 ounce of dark rum. I will say this again. If you're putting a rum in it, it should be 2 ounces. That 2 ounces is what a full pour of rum is supposed to be. But they're calling for 1 ounce, so I'm going to put 1 ounce. And if it would want more, then I'm gonna note that, and it's almost certainly gonna want more. Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's not a lot. That is not going to fit in this. That's not nearly enough. I'm gonna have to improvise with something a lot fancier in order to properly get this, but I'll be right back again while I get ice to shake with. No, I need to get a smaller one. One sec. Alright, let's shake. There's so little in here. Right. There might be even more from dilution than there is in this drink from actual ingredients. Yeah, this is the sort of thing that needs a tiki mug. This is not a particularly pretty drink, but no tiki drink ever is. It's so filled with juices that like tiki drinks tend to need other stuff anyway, so it's not, the color not being that pretty is not an indictment, because you would usually be putting it in a tiki mug anyways that is opaque, that hides the color of it, because like the thing with tiki drinks is that they're so full of flavors that they're gonna be delicious, they're just never gonna look good. So the way you make them look good is by giving them big fancy mugs. One ounce of our ginger beer. That helps with the wash line a little bit. And then what they refer to as a splash of a dash of club soda. So I'm just gonna cover the top and just let a little dribble in. I don't know what this is meant to do. I genuinely don't know what that is meant to do. It's just gonna dilute it a little bit, I'm pretty sure. And then if I were really cool, I would set it on fire, but I'm not that cool. I'd be too scared to actually set this on fire to make it look cool. Flaming Moai. Based on the ingredients, this should be very good. It's just not going to be as impressive as it's not going to be as impressive looking. I was right. It needs more rum. I don't know why the ginger beer or the club soda is in there. It adds carbonation that it doesn't really want. Like, if you wanted the carbonation, just add the club soda, I would say. Like 1 ounce of club soda, like top it off with club soda. If you really want the carbonation, that's what I would do. It needs a 2nd ounce of rum. It just needs some kind of like punchy spirit to really like pay off all the other ingredients, because the issue with not having enough spirit is that that's the main thing that's walking. The spirit is the most complicated part of the drink. That's the thing that's walking. Everything else accompanies it. So when you have like sugar, it like provides the bed for the spirit to walk on. When you add like bitters or like other floral ingredients, that's like the other things that accompany the spirit on its journey. When there's so little spirit, there's only 1 ounce of rum in here. When there's so little spirit, it like takes 3 steps. when you actually put a lot of spirit in it, the spirit is gonna be the main star of the show, sure, but then everything else that's in it gets to attach to the spirit and then make it a much more interesting journey, because it can attach itself to the spirit. Like, okay, the ginger beer does go a little bit well with excuse me. The ginger beer goes pretty well with the rum. Same with the Aperol. And like rum and pineapple juice are a match made in heaven. But it just doesn't have time to really develop those flavors because the rum just ends. There's not enough rum to really carry it through, because everything else is kind of like smothering it, as opposed to the rum being able to walk on its own, and then with everything else either accompanying it, following it, it's leading it. It's unfortunate because it's like, there's the Velvet Falernum coming in at the end. The Velvet Falernum comes in at the end when there's no more rum to pair it with, when like the rum should be able to carry through into the aftertaste with the Velvet Falernum, and then that makes it into a rum and Velvet Falernum goes together super well in a lot of tiki drinks. That's why Velvet Falernum is so used in tiki all the time, because there's not enough rum to carry through into the Velvet Falernum note. The Velvet Falernum just feels alone, like you taste the ginger beer up front. You get a little bit of the rum, and it's like molassesiness, and it's banana funkiness, and it's tropicalness. But then it just stops. It legit just stops while you get through like some of the spiciness of the ginger beer. You get through to the lime juice. You get through, which doesn't help that it's not balanced by the sugar either. The sugar would help bind all this together, but there was no simple syrup added to this. And then you get to the Velvet Falernum, that like lime peel, sweet, like weird in a good way liqueur, but there's no rum to meet it, to pair with all the flavors of the rum, so it's just kind of there alone. And it's a very segmented experience as opposed to a mingled experience that I keep talking about. Yeah. It has potential though. It's not unpleasant to drink. It's not bad. It honestly is a good drink in the making. I'm gonna give it a C. I'm gonna give it a C. The thinking is not wrong on any front other than just the balance. The balance is like way out of whack for what would otherwise be a good drink. I'm gonna give this a C. And there we go. That is the tier list for all the Karmotrine Dreams drinks. Honestly, like, so there were a few good ones. I do remember, like I said, the Piano Woman was very good. I forget which one this one was. Which one was this one again? It had like a, yeah, it had a orange peel in the middle of it. Fringe Weaver, right? Oh yeah, this was a well-crafted cocktail. Yeah. Piano Woman was good. I forget which one. Oh yeah, that was the highly bitter one. Like, they have a few legit hits. Bad Touch was excellent mostly because it's a drink that's like is very similar to one I've made. These ones were quite good. There's a handful of decent ones, but then in general, just a lot of them were somewhere between a bad balance and like weird ideas that have legs but just don't hold together very well. Like, for the most, like, it really just feels like, and there's nothing wrong with this, that it was a bunch of amateur mixologists throwing together some random stuff that felt on theme for Valhalla, which I'll be upfront, I haven't played, but they turn out weird, they turn out not super great, but they're interesting ideas, and some of them even have potential to be legit good. Some of them did end up being quite good, but for the most part, they're just not. They're missing the mark, and I'd be excited if these people, or I should shout them out actually. If the contributors here we go. Valkyrie, Quapik, Glitch Bay, Nanochan, and Sparkle. Like, I appreciate what they've done with making this book. They have a lot of interesting ideas. They clearly have the passion for Valhalla enough to start making their own drinks based on it. And I do appreciate that they made all of these drinks, including the bad ones, including the ones that I absolutely think failed. Like, it's really cool that they were able to do all this. I really want to see if they make more cocktails, if they improve their craft, if they learn how to balance drinks better, because like I could totally see a lot of the B's turning into A's or S's. I can see the C's turning into B's or A's. There's good ideas. There's good ideas in here, but for the most part, they're not well executed. And who knows? Maybe that's me. Maybe that's my own taste. Maybe you find that you really like these, or maybe there's a legit bartender out there and it's like, actually, these are pretty well crafted. You're being Dunning-Kruger about it, and I'm perfectly willing to accept that I'm being Dunning-Kruger. But for the most part, like I just feel like there's something missing with a lot of these drinks. They're not bad, they're just not good yet. And I feel like this is a book of really good ideas that can be improved upon. Yeah. The orange doesn't look bad, at least on camera. I guess it it kind of just looks like weird champagne to me. And like it the visual aspect isn't the selling point of the drink to begin with, so I don't think that really helps it. Either way, this was a fun experience. It was awesome to be able to try all these things, and I'm glad you guys came along with me, because honestly, like, this was cool. This was fun. I've it's opened my eyes to like want to try some crazy brews myself, and I already did. I always like coming up with crazy brews, but this gives me good ideas. This gives me ideas for the future. So I'm grateful that I was able to do this. I'm grateful that you guys actually watched me do this. I'm excited to be able to like share this with people and be able to see what they think of it. But yeah, I don't know what else to say other than thank you. Thank you so much. Next time, I want to try shotgunning beers. I want to teach myself how to shotgun beers. So that'll be the next stream. There's not much to that, so it'll be mostly Azatsudan, but also like there will be a little bit of a point. We're gonna learn how to shotgun beers. Thank you. I don't know what else to say, but thank you. Yeah. See you next week.